Are we on?
Oh, busted.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Busted. Everyone knows you drink.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, you cover it well. Hey, everybody. How's it going? I'm Shane.
I'm Lex, pouring drinks.
It's been a while since I've been on. It's good to be here, everybody. We're going to talk about kind of what's under the hood for PDQ Deploy, PDQ Inventory.
So if you want a hot rod, your PDQ Deploy and Inventory...
You're going to lift the hood and show you the engine of the Pinto.
I actually had a Pinto.
Did you really?
I did. A runabout. We made it convertible. Didn't last.
It was the flaw was the gas tank. The gas tank was too close to the impact point.
It would literally explode.
Yeah.
But no, there was actually a movie. It was one of the Zaz movies. I think it was that actually showed in the early '80s. It showed a car barely touch a Pinto and the Pinto blew up.
Right. That's Zucker Abrams Zucker, the makers of Airplane.
Yeah, Zucker Abrams. Yeah,
huh.
Yeah, Zaz.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Zaz.
Hey everybody, we're going to talk about what's under the hood. If you have any questions, by all means, throw down. What do you want to start with, Lex?
Well, let's start by just talking about heartbeats and how we get stuff moved around, ports, that kind of thing.
Okay. Well, if we're going to start heartbeats, we'll go over to inventory. People asking, I see online, how do you guys determine that? How is the online status?
I think I've got one that's offline here. It is...
Oh, I'm in the online system.
Oh, you're online? Okay. That would explain why I can't see it. Gosh.
We suck. Okay, so you've got Pickle Rick right here. You can see Pickle Rick is
offline.
Is offline, yeah. How do we determine that? Well, there's three different ways, but the primary way, if we just go up here to options, pardon me, if you go into preferences, you can go to the network setting.
I don't know why I'm laughing.
I don't know.
It's cracking me up all of a sudden.
Yeah, and if you have what's called the auto heartbeat enabled, most of you should have this. The default is a 300-second interval. So what that means, every 300 seconds, this is going, PDQ Inventory pings every computer in the database to see if it's online. Yep. And it's simply an ICMP echo request. That's all it is. So yeah, if you have ICMP echo requests disabled, then this is not going to work.
Have an issue. Now, the other thing is, for those of you who have lots and lots of machines, 6,000 machines, we'll say.
Yeah. Just to pull that number? Okay.
Yeah, I got to change that. And
it's probably smart, yeah.
There's a little math we can do. And when I say we, I'm going to look at Colby.
Well, basically...
Or we can bust out a calculator, actually. But
so if you have a lot of latency issues in your network, then you might have some problems. We have this hard-coded to time out this ICMP, this ping, in 1 second. The default, if you just do a ping from PowerShell or your command line, it's going to be 4 seconds, or 4,000 milliseconds. We wait 1,000, which is a long time. If you're seeing machines that are offline and you're like, look, I can ping it and it's online.
You definitely.
But if you look at if it takes 1,500 milliseconds to get back, you've got some latency issues you're going to want to look into. For the sake of, we don't want to wait 4 seconds to time out. We time out after 1 second. So if you have more computers, basically if that 300 seconds isn't enough to cycle through all of your computers, you're going to want to increase that interval. I never did find out. Did anybody find out how many threads?
64.
Is it okay?
64 threads.
We started from 16 to 32. Okay, we've got a 64. So that's a lot. We are pinging 64 machines at a time. Worst case scenario, if they all take 1 second to return, you can do the math. Say 64, the number of your computers divided by 64, and if that number is higher than your interval, you might want to increase it. So we've seen people with 6,000, 10,000 computers start to go to 600 seconds or 900 seconds or 800, something like that. The longest I've seen is, besides the few people that have just disabled the auto heartbeat by just clicking that, I've seen someone set 3,600. They basically set an hour.
The good and the bad of that. Good is you're not going to cycle over top of the pings that are continually running, so you don't have that constantly running. The bad is, a machine could come online 10 minutes after the ping and you won't know for another hour. So
Correct. So just modify that, but that's how we do that. Now, obviously, this test multiple addresses and name resolution has been a really popular addition over the last several years. That's if you've got machines that move around, maybe they go from wireless to wired, or it's a laptop that goes around, or you have very, very short lease durations, and basically DNS can have multiple records or multiple addresses for a particular computer. What we'll do if you have that set, it will simply say, we have this first address that's returned by DNS. Can we ping that one? No. Oh, there's another address. We'll ping until we've either exhausted the addresses or one returns.
Yep.
That's how that works. Just so you know.
Let's talk
Go for it.
ports. Okay, so the other thing under the hood, so how we get files from A to B, right? From
Like
the console,
a
and
deployment or whatever?
Yeah, deployment or a scan, is we use ICMP4 obviously, and then SMB. These right here, if you go to knowledge base 1023, or you just search for PDQ space firewall space ports, it'll come up. Here they are.
You type out space.
You do SPAC.
This space
Look at
really
my
needed
space
both
shirt,
times.
dude. Check it out, dude. Shut up.
I love that. Oh, I love it. You're wearing the Star
I got
Wars
the
Star Trek shirt.
Yeah.
I love it.
Speaking of space, pew.
Pew, pew, pew. Okay, yeah, so we use SMB. Don't let that scare you. We'll use the highest version of SMB that is available.
Yep.
So if you have the appropriate settings in Active Directory and you don't have weak link like XP machines on your system and stuff, we will use a fantastic version of SMB versus version 1, which is known to have some problems. Anyway, but we will use version 1 if needs be. You need to have these ports open. Now these ports are minus these last two right here. Don't worry about those. Those are
For central server.
right now. But these UDP and TCP ports, those are pretty much the ports that are used just for Windows networking, just so that you can do file and print sharing. So we use that same mechanism. Once again, the server message block protocol. You open that up in your local area network, you're going to be fine. But that's how we've been able to get by. We have what's known as the on-demand agent, not to be confused with this agent that's in beta that's being rewritten. But we're talking about, this is how we connect to computers. So if you can't get to the admin dollar share of a target computer,
Firewall setting generally.
Yep, then you're not going to be able to manage with PDQ Inventory or Deploy.
I just want to point this out right here, just because security is such a big thing.
Okay.
Right there, guys, those, if you look down there, external exceptions, that is where ET phone's home. Consoles go to check for new packages and licensing and updates.
I like that.
So make sure if you're,
Yeah, if you have really strict proxy settings or anything like that,
whitelist those guys.
yeah, your package library, we need to be able to get to these in your collection library. Those are kind of where we need to be able to go. And of course the admin dollar. Now, what is the admin dollar? Those of you who are like, well, I don't know. Admin dollar. I'm going to open up Bird Person. If Bird Person will open.
Check it out. Done. Oh, I started the
I'm going to
Jeopardy
come
music,
down
and it
to
started.
shares. Wonder how many people have never actually clicked on shares. Any Windows shared directory will be listed here. If it's actually a directory, then you should see it should be a blue link that you can go to. IPC dollar obviously is not. That's just a inter-process communication protocol. But admin dollar, let's click on that. That takes you to the Windows directory of that target machine. The admin dollar is a built-in share from Windows if you have the Windows networking enabled.
Shows you the path, right?
Yep,
Here.
there it is. See Windows.
So we know where we're headed.
Yep. So if you happen to, we have customers that have Windows installed on their D drive, that would be D Windows. Anyway, so admin dollar takes you there. It was meant by Microsoft for this purpose. Admin dollar, it's administrative tasks. So when we make a connection to a target computer for a scan or for a deployment or running a tool or a remote command, we connect by default to admin dollar, and then we will create admin arsenal directory, no space, in or on the target computer. And you'll see there's a bunch of directories here if they don't exist. And for example, if the PDQ Deploy runner, this is the directory for
Deployments.
Deployments.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to delete that. I'm going to delete this on Bird Person.
Actually, why don't you go delete it on Beth, and we'll do a deployment to Beth and watch it build.
Oh, you want to do Beth?
Let's do Beth. Beth's right there.
What is
my
Bird
friend.
Person broken or something?
I just don't like Bird Person.
He doesn't like Bird Person,
I don't
JJ.
know
Bird
who
Person is a
Bird Person
fantastic
is, actually.
character.
You shut your mouth. It's actually Phoenix Person now, isn't it?
Is it Phoenix Person?
Hey!
There you
Oh,
I heard JJ.
let's pull
in
one
my
up
ear.
for the
I heard it. in
three
my
pointer
ear.
sheet.
Thank
Yeah.
you, JJ.
Oh, okay. I was to say he's been watching Rick and Morty.
I would be very impressed.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the PDQ Deploy runner. All right, so let's go ahead and deploy. We're going to just deploy. Actually, before we do that, was there a question that somebody wanted to ask? Before I jump into this?
Dear Shane and Lex, getting target computer name mismatch on a system that returned after months. No obvious DNS issues. Any ideas? Thanks, Matt Z.
That returned after months.
Okay, so target name mismatch instantly again. I would think DNS. We got an IP address. So would you? I mean, I would run an NBT stat -A at that. It's like knocking on the door and going, "Hey, is this Shane's house?" and seeing if Shane actually answers.
You can also do netstat.
Or netstat, yeah.
No, I mean, MBT is fine, but netstat will I'm still lost out on the after months. Okay, so yeah, target computer name mismatch. This basically means that that PDQ Deploy or PDQ Inventory is attempting to access a computer. Now you give that computer name, the host name, the regular short computer name. It doesn't matter. We attempt to resolve that through DNS, and we take the first address that's returned and attempt to go out there. If an address is returned and that device is online and we try to reach it and then find out that, hey, you're expecting this computer name, but this is actually the computer name of this target, you're going to get a computer name mismatch. So
I just ran an MBT stat -A, and so I'm looking on Beth, right? So it looked for Beth. It found Beth, the groups from web, MAC address. So it found that there. I don't know that we got
chances really are that there's a DNS issue. You might need to. I know you hear us say it a lot, but boy, I've been there. I've been at the customer site when they actually ran a DNS scavenge, and all of a sudden these things went away. Scavenge just takes away stale records. It should happen on a schedule. It's usually based off of your lease time in DHCP, but run a scavenge. This is the problem. The simple fact of the matter is we're attempting to hit a computer, and we don't store the IP address as much as we store it, but we store it based off of what DNS returns. So when we go out to hit a computer, we don't look in the database necessarily and say, hey, this is the IP address that we're going to. We attempt to resolve it at that point. And if DNS returns a different address, you are going to run into that target computer name mismatch. So I would definitely look there. Colby, do you have anything you want to add to that, buddy?
No, I think you covered everything.
All right, thank you. All right, so we're going to go back over here. So we've got Beth. You opened up. I had a window opened up to the admin dollar, but you've actually opened up Beth on
the remote, so we can actually
remote
see
desktop,
Beth itself.
and you can see that PDQ Deploy runner is not there. So we're going to deploy. Let's go over here to PDQ Deploy. Now
Let's go show them what we did to this first.
Yeah, we modified this 7-zip package just with some post steps to sleep and then post a message. So sleep it for 60 seconds, and the reason for that is just so that we can kind of see what's going on.
Show you what's happening.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and deploy to Beth. Boom.
Boom.
Bam.
Bam for typing in Beth.
Now we're going to come over here. Oh, there it is. This is on Beth, right? Yeah. PDQ Deploy runner created. Yep. 1014. Open this up, and you're going to see a service-1 or service-X. Generally, we should disassemble this and delete this after it's done. Sometimes that doesn't take place. It'll just increment up. Notice the open up service-1 exec, and we can basically see whatever step we're on. Moving on down. Sleep keeps the stuff in there from the previous step. It happens so fast. You can see that this is literally the
executable that's going to be run.
In fact, I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to actually just come up here to PDQ Deploy Runner. I'm going to abort this.
I wanted you to show them the service built too.
I will do that in a moment. Notice that service-1 gone. Yep. So let's redeploy this so we can actually see. Bam. Over here. We're going to see a new directory get created in there. Or unless this is waiting for me to actually
hit deploy
now. I should learn my product.
You should learn how to use it.
Service 1 is there. Go to exec, and you're going to see every step. This is a command. That's a command step. That's literally a batch file.
There it is. Error handling wrapper, parameters.
There's a PowerShell script going on.
Uninstall, yep. Can we pop up services?
So what's important about this? If you're troubleshooting, this is where the under the hood helps. If you're troubleshooting, and you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on, it helps to know where these files are being stored. It's an admin dollar, and you can see there's a PDQ Deploy runner service. Let's go ahead and highlight that. Oh, there you go. PDQ Deploy runner -1. This is created and it lives during the life of this deployment. Once this deployment completes, that service is disassembled and deleted. It's that simple. So this should only live for a very, very brief time. Now in this case, we've got a timer on
7-zip. It's going to sleep
on
for I
7-zip.
think,
It's
60 seconds.
Yeah, just so you could kind of see what's going on because it would happen so fast otherwise. But what's important about this? Why is this important? Number one, if you have computer, I'm going to close this damn window. If you have, and there's that message. So we'll say OK. And then if we hit refresh, we should see deploy go away. We do have it set to do an inventory scan.
Afterwards,
So
there's
now
the
you
inventory
see
scanner.
the inventory scanner service, and it's kicking off a scan. Anyway, what's important, if you are consistently seeing failures, hey, I'm deploying this computer, it's online, I can actually see this directory, service-1 get created into PDQ Deploy Runner, but then it fails. There's a good chance that your antivirus solution is monitoring the Windows directory and sees these executables getting copied down there, and it deletes them. Yep. So you need to, what really needs to happen is you need to create an exclusion in antivirus or security software that says allow Windows admin arsenal, and if you want to even go down deeper, PDQ Deploy Runner, PDQ Inventory -scanner, have these be exempt. The runner is the most important one because that usually triggers an antivirus because it sees MSIs or EXEs
dropped in there.
that are created. Once you do that, you should be fine.
Yeah.
All right. I haven't seen that many of these issues
Not
coming
recently.
up, but that used to be a pretty big deal.
Do we have any more questions?
Hey, Shane and Lex, what's the best way to uninstall an application? Is it possible to create a package? Thanks, Con K.
Well, hello, Con. Con. Okay. So the best way to that leaves a lot to interpretation. If this is just a one-timer, I need to remove an application from one computer, then you can go ahead and open up Beth.
Let's go nuke 7-zip.
So go to applications. You can right-click on an application and say uninstall. Now, if the application was installed from an MSI, chances are it's going to work out of the gate. But if it wasn't, you need to supply the uninstall parameter. In this case, for 7-zip /s should work. Is that right? It's
I
been a
know
long
it
time
is
since I built it.
because I happen to do this a lot.
Okay.
So I would Google silently uninstall 7-zip, and there's generally a lot of documentation from the vendor where you can find how to do this.
In this case, a one-on con, you can just hit execute.
Ooh, should we watch the service and everything run on this too?
You know what? I think I closed services.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I didn't think we were going to need it.
let's see how you are. There it is.
No, it's already doing a scanner.
Oh, it's done already.
That
was
okay.
quick.
So now, if it's scanning, and by the way, when you do an uninstall from PDQ Inventory, if you will notice, now it's gone. Yes. So now we no longer see. If you do an uninstall, doing this, this actually instantiates the run mode for. It used to be called remote command, but now it's just tools. Notice we've got this, when you do an uninstall, we automatically set the scan after to go ahead and scan. That means, hey, we're going to modify the state of this application.
Database afterwards.
So let's scan it afterwards to update that information. You can turn that off simply by just saying do not scan. But anyway, that's one way of doing it. So if you have to do this on a lot of packages or a lot of computers, then yes, create a package. Creating a package is very, very simple.
Do Notepad. Create a package, yeah.
All right. This is the... Okay.
You hit the wrong one there.
No, you said Notepad, right?
Oh, yeah, but let me show you.
Oh.
I like the command. You did that. It was,
You're talking about
create a
going
package,
straight to create a package.
Yeah,
Yes,
let's just have it run right over here. Create uninstall package. This will basically copy that command line over as a PDQ
But
package.
you still need to test this. Make sure if it's not an MSI. See, if it's an MSI, we already know that /x will do an uninstall, whereas /i will do an install. Here, this is not an MSI, so you're going to need to supply the
silent parameters.
The silent parameters. Do you remember what it is for Notepad? It's been a while.
It's a /s also.
Is it? Okay. So /s in this case. Then you can save this. Let's come over here, uninstall Notepad.
And you can deploy that on a mass scale. Again, I would test it first.
Well, let's
I like testing it on all the machines. Live.
You can't differentiate his tests from his actual production.
Yeah,
His,
I
his,
resemble that
sam-
statement.
his sample is 100%,
You know, when it works, it works.
and when it doesn't, that's
we just don't go there.
that's where you go to a new job. So this
Have you seen my resume lately? No.
I'm sure I'll be as underwhelmed by it as I was the first time I saw it.
Hey.
Okay, so we're still scanning. So
Boom, gone. There it is.
There it is. It's gone. So that's what you're going to want to do. And then, of course, sometimes you might have, sometimes the application might have, especially if it's an MSI, slightly, it's going to be a different product code. So in that case, always look to see if the vendor has an uninstall. Adobe's a big one with this. They have uninstalls for Reader, for Flash. Grab that uninstall and just build a package.
Check this out, Shane. Type uni. Check it out. We've got a bunch here.
Okay. Thank you.
Plug our own product.
I'm now
Check it
taking
out,
spelling
guys.
tips from
Hey,
Lex.
Shane, did you
I
know-
may as well just end it.
Did you know that we had this?
Did you know
you
we
know this was a
actually
thing?
have uninstall stuff?
No, it's always a good refresher. My takeaway is the fact that Lex is giving
I'm
me tips
educating you
that are
on how to
actually
spell.
working.
That's a good
what's-
point.
That's what's
Would you
calling
like-
in my existential crisis right
Do you
now.
need more after that?
I'm going to need a lot stronger than that, dude. You're going to have to actually tap a vein
Tap
for
a
me
vein.
to regain consciousness on this one, man. Anyway, hopefully I answered your question, Con. Are there any other questions?
Eventually, you do roll a 12 if you keep rolling dice. That's all I have to say about
All
that.
right.
Dear Shane and Lex, after imaging a PC, PDQ cannot connect to target share for no obvious reason. Self-resolves randomly. Why could this be? Sincerely, Matt Zzz.
My first thoughts: firewall, reimage.
Yeah, if you're talking about a reimage, and I'm going to assume, Matt, that you're giving it the same name, so you reimage a computer and apply the same name. If it can't connect to a target share, when we try to connect, we're once again going through SMB. So if those firewall settings, if the GPOs haven't been properly applied to open that up, we won't be able to get there. So you can actually why don't you go to a computer and do no, what are you doing?
I'm trying to think about what you're doing. I'm trying to read your mind. It's not working. You
can't read.
That's a good point.
Go to open remote repair.
That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Good Lord.
Like, I know it's out here.
Go to open repair. Now in this case we got Allen Rails, and you can click analyze. So this Allen Rails is a target computer, and we're pulling up the fully qualified domain name that the inventory is stored. So we're going to try to find that name, analyze it,
Where did you
and what we
find
try to
that
do
again?
is connect. We connect
Yep.
to Allen Rails, to the IPC share. Try to make sure we can access admin dollar as well as create a service, and then that we have the read privileges. If any of those fail, that's going to be a problem. This is a good tail. So run remote repair. This
Seriously,
this utility
where did-
hasn't changed since
where-
Colby was like in junior high school.
Where did you get this again? Where did you go? Highlighted the machine, went to
Go to help,
help.
and then just pour down. You go open remote repair. You can also hit Control tilde.
And then run it from
And
there.
if you have a computer that's selected, get Swifty, hit Control tilde, and which I just did. little shortcut. That'll take you there. So this is the first thing you can do. What we're going to set, what my guess is, and Colby, you can pipe in if you want. I'm thinking, this is kind of what Lex mentioned, that new computer hasn't had all of the policies yet apply. You're saying that it self-corrects after a certain time. Once these apply and we try to make a connection again, once we can get to that admin dollar share appropriately and with all the necessary rights, you're good.
GP update force. Send that down. If you can.
Well, yeah,
I
but
guess if
if you can't
do
connect to it, then
That's a
you
good
got
point.
Cart before the horse there, young man.
Well, you know.
Now you're back to the Lex I'm expecting.
Durr.
Any more questions?
No, you can't give a question after answer with duh.
Sure we can. Well, we're never going to answer anything.
Yeah, just watch me. Watch me. What is the best way to run a package after completing a Windows 10 in-place upgrade? Sincerely, Dominic C.
Wow, so if you're running a Windows 10 in-place upgrade, then it's effectively just a new operating system, right? So the best way to run a package after, you're going to have to let that computer come up and apply all the group policies. There's been a lot that's changed to it. Colby, do you have anything that you want to add to that one?
It's going to be tricky because there's not really I don't know. I guess it depends on how you do it. But
I'll tell you what I would do. You know, and this I'm going to step in front of Colby for a sec. Check your inventory. When it shows up in inventory in the Windows 10 version you just updated, you should be able at that point to be able to deploy something.
That's a good point. Make sure that new version is showing in inventory. Colby, you were...
Sorry, I stepped on you, man.
no, I don't really have anything.
Okay. Colby pulling up strong. He's number 4 in our batting rotation because he's the one that hits the grand slams.
Occasionally, I can hit one out of the infield.
Now, Colby, if you can ever get a Colby on your team, you
Hence the name
Take it.
Colbypedia.
get your Colby.
Colby overflow.
Everybody needs one, or 4. Seriously, no. I only want to go to war with Colby. So there you go.
Okay.
You need,
Colby's like,
you need
wait,
pawns.
I don't.
Shane, that's where you come in.
That's where I come.
I don't want to go to war.
Yeah, what did I sign up for? Do I need to
You didn't read
my
small
contract?
print, did
You
he?
didn't read the fine print there, young man. That's why we look for the bright-eyed, naive person that thinks people are good and hasn't developed a cynical heart yet.
Dear Shane, Lex, and Colby, in battle, I'm building a new deploy inventory central server for 20,000 hosts. What are your CPU RAM recommendations? Sincerely, Brent.
20,000? And are they going to all be off of the same
We're running
PDQ? I mean,
Central.
props to you, but it's good. That's painful. We were never really met. We've had I've seen customers that have
We've
done
done
it
it,
more
yeah.
than that, but 20,000 hosts is a lot, especially for the way we were built.
I am going to say this. I have got a video out there that tells you some of the things I've gone through with some of our customers who have excessive amounts of computers, like you. That video takes you through setting your heartbeat. It takes you through
all the little tweaks and
all
stuff.
the little tweaks. Yeah.
Okay,
thank you.
first thing right there, Brent, I'm going to say this. If you're going to have that many computers, you need to have your database, particularly for inventory, on a solid state drive.
Absolutely.
There's going to be so many read-write requests, but your heartbeat for 20,000 computers, for 20,000, I would say your heartbeat, need to do the math, but probably around 1,200 seconds instead of
15
300
minutes, yeah.
Yeah, just something like that.
Also, the concurrent number of deployments and scans, there's some adjustments there. Again, the video I did was based off stuff I actually did at a customer. So,
So if,
as much as you
to-
harass me, that's actually a good video.
to go with well done. To go with what Alexa's saying, if you go to preferences of either deploy or inventory, and if we hit over here to performance and inventory, concurrent scans at 32, yeah, if you have a solid state drive, you might want to bump that up. Please don't bump it up so high. I mean, I've seen people do 64, I've seen 90, 96. That's fine. Once you start getting really high, you're actually guess what you're going to overwhelm. Even if you have a solid state drive.
You know, overwhelm network connections.
Can you guys say, network? No, not. You're near. Anybody know what you're probably going to overwhelm?
My serial port?
No.
What do you got?
Well,
man?
this is anecdotal from me. people get hot, they actually overwhelm their network driver. I've seen network drivers upgrade, fix a bug or whatever, and be able to handle this. But the network driver trying to come in at your server, trying to take all those connections coming in. I mean, the way PDQ Inventory will handle this, yeah, you can have concurrent scans set to 900. Doesn't mean we're writing 900 times simultaneously to the database. That
Tons
means
of files are being accepted.
that means where the central server or that background service that runs there is accepting those connections through the network interface card and is storing them and then writing them. It's queuing them up properly so that we don't corrupt the database. But you can overwhelm your network driver. So anyway, what Lex is saying, concurrent scans don't go overboard. Where you really don't want to go overboard is in inventory deploy. And you can always hit Control comma instead of just going to options and preferences. But here, the total concurrent targets and current per deployment. Default is 8 per deployment, 32. You can bump that up, but once again, don't go crazy.
Here's the thing. Again, I was out on site where the customer had 15,000 plus machines, and I actually started doing tests to see where the sweet spot was.
Okay.
And I actually, there was no math to it, but it's like, here's where I found if you're in excess of 15,000 seems to be the sweet spot.
Okay.
So,
also, if for that many, if they're not all in one location but they're spread out, you might want to use DFS. Use the pull copy mode. That means that you're not pushing those packages to 20,000 computers from your console. Instead, you're sending the instructions out to each target to then pull from a particular source. If
their local copy generally, yeah.
If you're using DFS, then it pulls from their local DFS namespace, and that will help your load balancing. But pull is important. It's just that once again, once you do pull, your repository needs to be, whatever that variable is, that needs to be a UNC. You can't, like right now, public resolves to C drive. That's not going to work because you're telling those target computers, hey, go pull from C:\\. No. This would need to be a server. Create a repository share on a server somewhere where all your packages are stored, or a majority of them, and if it's connected from a UNC, then the pull will work. The pull will help a lot.
A good breakdown of that. I've got, if you search the videos for DFS, look for the short one. I think it's like 4 or 5 minutes where I actually go into that on how it affects deploy when you do it. So it's a great video also. But look for the short one. Then I got some long ones, 10 to 12 minutes. And I think there's one about 4 minutes long. That's the one that we do the breakdown of deploy.
Rock on. Do we have any more questions?
Dear Shane and Lex, is there a way to trigger a reboot on a computer based on the scan status? Thanks, Brad.
Not out of the box.
Scan status? It's queued. It's scanning. Do I need a reboot?
I'm thinking about it. I mean, there's like so many things. There's so many things you can do. Certainly based off of certain scripts, but this is not a native thing. Like you can trigger reboots off of a number of things, but can you think of anything, Colby? I know it's not going to be native, but what do you think?
Well, we do have a reboot required field in inventory.
That's a good point. Yeah. So I mean, in inventory, where's my inventory?
I guess you could put a step in that says if a reboot's required, do that.
Well, what you can do, we have. Let's find this. We have I think we got a collection
right here.
There it is. Reboot required. Reboot required means we've scanned these computers. It happens in the computer details scanner, which should really be in all of your scan profiles. We recommend that you do that. But reboot required shows these 15 computers as of the last scan, they had entries in the particular area of the registry that says when there's a reboot, rename this file to this file, whatever. That's the tell that this needs to be rebooted. So you could actually have a schedule, depending on how aggressive you want to be. You could have a schedule that just does nothing but a reboot, and that's a PDQ Deploy package that simply does a reboot. I would make it somewhat intelligent and say like
totally intelligent.
Like don't do servers.
Don't do servers.
So we'll just call this
only run if it's in the.
We'll call this one a reboot.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you create a new step. and it's just going to be a reboot step. And you could, obviously, the number of seconds if you wanted to display a message or something like that,
2 seconds.
60 seconds. Type in your message if you want. And in the conditions, I would change this from, I would take off servers.
Ooh, let me show you what I'd add.
Go ahead.
With this.
Oh, I'm
going to go to the collection right
I'm
here.
not done yet.
Oh, you're not done? I'm stealing your thunder here. Only run this step if it needs a reboot, right? So we go back to that
Sure.
collection library.
Well, that's where you're going to get the targets.
The targets, absolutely. But still, it's going to run this step only if it's part of that collection.
So in this case, I would make that step say if it is
Not
in a workstations directory.
in the workstations directory.
Because
Come
your
on.
target's going to be reboot required.
Well, here's the thing, right? What if I launch it accidentally to everybody? That step will only run.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
So
that
that's
would
a
just-
little safety net. So we've got only workstations reboot required. They have to be in that collection. And then when you deploy this, when you schedule this, I hit Control D there. You schedule this to go to. The targets would be something like you link to PDQ Inventory collection, and then just say reboot. And you can run this throughout the day, or you can run it every night. And that way, if we say, hey, a scan is needed or a reboot is needed based off of a scan, then it gets rebooted.
When I schedule that,
Thank you.
I like
Thank you,
to think
Colby.
about the end users, the ones I don't like. 9:30 a.m., about the time people are done getting their coffee, bam.
I'm gonna change this one to reboot workstations.
That's a good call.
Yeah, because if you don't put that, if you don't put those little conditions in there, and you inadvertently send this off to all your servers,
Whoops.
you could be in for a world of hurt. But even if you deploy this to a server, and you have this condition set to only workstations, it's gonna fail.
Yep.
It's not gonna work. So, yeah. We have another
Got
question.
another one.
And our final question today. What are the pros and cons of using Central Server with only a few users? Been putting this off for quite a while. Sincerely, Dougie Doug K.
Hey, Dougie.
Are there any real cons?
Well, yeah. I mean,
okay. What is it? Honestly, I
Well,
want to know what
it
it is,
depends
'cause
on how
I think
it-
it's easy.
It depends on how autonomous your other users are. So you said you only have a few users, and if Lex is a user and I'm a user of PDQ, not drugs, and we want if we rarely talk, or he has his own island where he manages those computers and I manage these computers,
Okay, that
then
you
that's-
found the one con that
that's fine to go ahead and keep it separate. If there's overlap, if you look at the Venn diagram, if it's complete overlap or partial where we both manage the same computers, then Central Servers is fantastic.
I'm like thinking, like, there's that CNN moment. There's a patch that needs to be done. I get in before you, and I know you're a slacker, so I deploy it before you even get in. But you're also aware that it's. So when you come in, you've seen what I've done.
Yeah, but that still means that we're managing the same computers.
I agree. I
So,
agree. But in that situation, I would.
Pros and cons, those are just two.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to add to that, Colby?
No, for the most part, really the only like the difference between enterprise mode and central server is just central server has an open port that it's listening to.
That's
so-
a good point. If you go back to that, if you go back to this Windows firewall, if you're using Central Server, then if you go back to the ports, these are the ports that are required. These are the default ports. You can change these. Lord, how big is this thing gone? It's changed a lot since I wrote it. By default, and actually it was Colby's idea when we had to come up with ports, find out ports that aren't used, and he did the palindrome version. But 6336 for Central Server, and then inventory 7337. So.
Well, not quite. I think you suggested 6226, and I suggested 6336 since 3 is half of 6. It would just kind of flip a
Oh,
little
okay.
better.
So you added extra brain power
Yeah.
to it. This is why I don't ever want to go into a puzzle contest with you.
With Colby.
Anyway, hopefully that answers your questions. Yes, there's if the crossover, if you manage the same computers, then you might want to consider Central Server seriously.
All I wanted to do was just get a cheap jab in on you. Did it
Go
work?
for it.
Did it work?
Yeah, kinda.
All
It's
right.
pretty good.
No, I'm just checking.
Props to you, young
Thanks, man.
We don't have any more questions.
Under the hood, guys. That's. We kind of broke that down.
Yeah, I broke it down a little bit. You can see, remember the admin arsenal. That's the name of the our company before we changed to PDQ. That's the directory on the admin dollar share. That's where you're going to see. That's where you're going to see the sausage getting made. But it's helpful if you're troubleshooting. So, rock on, everybody. I am Shane.
I'm Lex. I don't ever want to see stuff.
Then don't go to admin dollar.
There you
Talk to you guys later.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. Congratulations, Brad and Matt Z, winners of PDQ swag. Send us your info at webcast@pdq.com. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week.